between Thomas and McDowell Road in Scottsdale. You may have seen this spot. Most recently, it was a lingerie and swimwear store called Triangles, but back in 1966, this was Corky's Tavern, a bar and restaurant that had an occasional band that played. On Sunday night, April 17th, 1966, a band played at Corky's, performing a few sets, and when closing time approached, the band's bass guitarist, 26-year-old Walter Moore, and drummer, 18-year-old Dallas Taylor, left out the front door. As they walked to Taylor's car, they were heckled by four men who had been in Corky's that evening, harassing them about their Beatles-style haircuts. The two men got into Taylor's car, and as they attempted to leave, they were blocked by the four hecklers. One of the men poured a beer on the car and began kicking it. Walter and Dallas got out of the car and asked the men to stop, but then they were attacked by the four. Two of them beat Taylor, and the other two beat Walter. Police were called and the four suspects had left, leaving Walter Moore and Dallas Taylor bloodied and bruised. A witness to the fight, 19-year-old tavern dancer and waitress Sue Chapman, helped Walter into Dallas's car, and they headed to Scottsdale Baptist Hospital, where both men were examined. Dallas had been roughed up, but he was checked out, examined, and released. Walter was treated for cuts and bruises to his face and head, and x-rays were done, which showed no signs of skull fractures. Walter was released around 3 in the morning. Afterwards, they went to Sue's apartment in Scottsdale, seen here. Now, hours later, around 2 in the afternoon, Walter died. The medical examiner's preliminary report showed that he had died from skull fractures related to the beating. Police had interviewed witnesses to the fight, and they were able to track down the four suspects. Antone Charles Cornick, age 24, Ronald Mazey and Dennis Doty, both age 22, and William Eric Snodgrass, age 23. All four were tracked down and arrested and charged with manslaughter. The four of them worked as room service attendants at the same place, the Mountain Shadows Resort. Now, each of them were released on $3,000 bail. At a preliminary hearing, Dallas Taylor admitted that he lied about his age to the police, saying he was 22 instead of his actual age, 18. Now, this is because, according to him, someone told me that I couldn't testify in court if I was under 21, and I wanted my story to have the full effect on the court. He said he didn't remember who gave him that information. Sue Chapman cried as she described to the court the events leading up to Walter Moore's death. She said one of the men made a comment about their Beatles-style haircuts, saying, "Look at the pretty girls." She also specifically identified Eric Snodgrass as the one who was sitting on top of Walter Moore, beating him on his face and head. Dr. Roy Sampson Jr., who had examined Walter at the hospital, said he found no signs of skull fractures after reviewing the x-rays. However, after consulting with a radiologist in the morning, it was decided to have Walter come back to the hospital. They attempted to contact him, but he couldn't be located because he was at Sue Chapman's apartment instead of his home address, which was listed on the paperwork. All four suspects pled innocent. Ultimately, charges against 3 of the men were dismissed due to lack of evidence. Eric Snodgrass was charged with involuntary manslaughter. His defense attorney said he had not caused the death of Walter Moore because testimony showed that a skull fracture which killed Moore was not detected in the hospital x-rays the morning of the fight. In April 1967, the trial ended in a hung jury. No official date was listed for the start of the second trial. Eric Snodgrass was a free man, and at this location in downtown Phoenix on the corner of 10th Avenue and Adams stood an apartment complex, and this is where Eric Snodgrass lived at the time. On Friday night, July 14th, after attending a party at a nearby apartment complex, Eric entered his apartment. Moments later, he went over the railing on his balcony and fell 3 stories, landing on the cement next to a swimming pool. He died the next day. And ironically, his official cause of death was listed as a skull fracture, the same as Walter Moore, the man he killed. Was it revenge, an accident, or suicide? We'll never know. William Eric Snodgrass was 24 at the time of his death. A rosary and mass was said for him at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Phoenix. Snodgrass was born in California and came to Phoenix 17 years prior. He served in the U.S. Army in Germany from 1964 to 1965. He was a graduate of Glendale High School and was a senior at Arizona State University at the time of his death. He was survived by his wife, his parents, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters. He is buried at St. Francis Catholic Cemetery in Phoenix. Walter Moore's bandmate Dallas Taylor, he was the drummer in the band. He continued his love of music and eventually would be in various bands, including Crosby, Stills, and Nash for a couple of their albums. He died at the age of 66 in 2015. He's buried at Holy Cross Cemetery in Culver City, California. Walter Raymond Moore was 26 at the time of his death, and he was survived by his mother and a few siblings, 2 sisters and a brother, and his wife, Gloria. There was no official obituary for Walter, and I am unable to find any photos of him. Now, Walter was originally born in Illinois, and he lived in Texas before coming to Arizona. Walter Raymond Moore is buried at Sunset Memorial Park Cemetery in San Antonio, Texas. If you happen to be driving on Scottsdale Road and you see this spot, remember Walter Moore, an outstanding bass guitarist who lost his life.